Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shruti Smruti Purananamalayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Yathaivekshrutase Klupta Yena Vyaptaiva Shatkara Tatha Vishwam Mayukluptam Maya Vyaptam Nirantaram. So the Tikakara says here, this verse illustrates the all-pervasiveness of the Atman. That is the verse. You see, our approach to Vedanta, I find, is it desires a lot of improvement. Instead of saying faulty, I am saying it desires a lot of improvement. Okay? Our approach itself. I question the very approach. For example, we come to a place of Vedanta teaching and we sit before a guru and we are waiting to be told to. Am I right? No? I tell you, you never got it till now, you will never get it in the future also, this way. Now you need a proof, you did not get it till now, that is proof enough. You should ask the question, why did not I get it till now? I am behind the blessed thing all these years, and doing what all I am supposed to do, very, very nicely, devotedly going and sitting before the Guru and waiting to be told to. As long as you do that, you will not get it. Because you have already defeated yourself, because you are waiting to be told to. You don't want to discover, you don't want to search, you don't want to inquire. That is not Brahma Jignasa. You have to inquire, you have to investigate. You are waiting to be told to. It's like we have become like that. We sit in the earlier days, when we were going here and there by car, we go to the Google and print the directions. And I remember the person who drives the car, he wants to see the directions first. Hey, give me the paper. No, I will tell you later. No. You don't tell me later. Now let me see. Do you remember? Yes. So he will read the entire sequence of directions. He will read 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. It was given. He will read. And then he gets a general idea. And then he gives the paper to the navigator. Navigator means the person sitting by the side. And he will drive. If any doubt is there, he will ask. So he is not waiting to be told to. He is finding out the path and driving. As he drives, he finds the path. As he is driving and driving, then an intersection comes and now he decides to take left or right. That was how he may take help of the paper. But he is finding the way, finding his way, the way, some example. Whereas today, the situation is entirely changed. He puts an address into the machine and now he becomes a slave to the machine. The machine tells take right, he takes right. If there is no right there, he will drive it into some bushes. Once we were in Toronto, a university program, some York University or whatever, and we are supposed to take Finch Road. This Finch Road is 75 miles long, that is Canada. That is the length of that road. And somehow we put some number into that machine and it took us to the other end of the Finch Road. Whereas we have to go to that end of the Finch Road. And then it was a mistake. It was a mistake by the machine or by us or whatever. And the person who drives, he just doesn't have any idea of what Finch Road is. So this is how we are waiting to be told to. When you want to make money, when you invest the money that you made in securities, etc., you make a very good investigation and inquiry. You do not lag behind in that context, but when it comes to Atma-jnanam, you are waiting to be told to. The unfortunate part of it is the gurus of the world encourage that. That is the misfortune. The guru must have shaken you up. Come on, you have to discover it. Atma-jnanam is not a piece of property to be inherited or to be handed over on a platter. It is something that you have to discover yourself. You have to look within. See, you have to discover in yourself, not in the stars and planets. In yourself, not around, all over, pilgrimage kind of thing. You won't discover anything in that, nor in stars and planets. You have to look within and discover. Because बिंदु में सिंधु समा हुआ है. The drop contains the ocean. That is the example. The drop contains the ocean. A drop of ocean is before you, and you want to know about the ocean. You know about this drop, you will know all about the ocean. Only the space-time details vary, and the space-time is a mental category, and hence it is unreal in any case. Therefore, the variation is not even a variation. You know all about the bindu, the drop. You will know everything that needs to be known of or about the Sindhu, the ocean. That's why you must have heard in the Upanishads, Kena jnatena sarvamidam jnatam vijnatam bhavati. Kena vijnatena sarvamidam vijnatam bhavati. This is the question put by the student, by the seeker to the teacher. The name of the student is Angiras in the Upanishad, and the teacher is Hiranyagarbha. That is the context. And or Brahmadeva. And so this is the question. Because Angiras was a great scholar of Vedas. He is a great scholar. He lacks nothing, but still he wants to know that by knowing which everything else is known. And the answer is know yourself. You see, even while you sit here, you hold in yourself the entire history of mankind. Know that. The entire history of mankind you have in yourself. Like you wear a shirt, the entire history of cotton and other fibers and their development, etc., you are having in you. You know English language, the entire history of the development of language skills, etc., is in you. The DNA that you have in you is the product of 10 billion years of evolution, and that you have in you. By looking at you, the entire universe, history of universe can be gauged. So you have to learn to look at yourself, and so that is one thing. And then what is Vedanta? So this is how I started like that, you know. The entire approach desires a lot of improvement. That is how I started. So the another aspect in which you have to approach Vedanta is, see, Vedanta is not ideation. There is a thing called ideation. It's a mechanism. So, and that mechanism operates in our psyche or in our consciousness. That mechanism operates. The mechanism is, a word is spoken, and you hear that word, and you form an idea about it. Okay? The thing is nowhere around. The word is not the thing, right? The word is not the thing. Generally, we give an idea. Listen, my Niagara example is a good example. Some other example also given similar to that, like jackfruit. in American, this jackfruit is a tropical fruit. The people of the cold climate, they don't know the jackfruit. So he asked, what is this jackfruit? It seems to be very important, very nice and all this. So then he was told, this is the jackfruit. It is coming from a tree, big tree, and it will have a lot of thorny things on its surface, and a very thick layer of outer cover will be there. And inside you will have soft things which are very sweet, like that you describe. So, and then you can even draw a figure and show it to him. Now he is traveling to India, suppose. He is in the flight. Somebody asks him, do you know what is a jackfruit? He will say yes. In fact, if the captain asks among the passengers, does anybody know jackfruit? He will raise his hand. Yeah, I know jackfruit. We Vedantins are like that. We are no better. This is called, this is not this is not a condemnation of the student. This is how it happens. It is not your fault. This is how it happens, and somebody has to point it out. And sometimes I wonder that somebody happens to be this Swami. That is my misfortune or whatever, I don't know. This has come to my fate that I have to point out all these things. This is the labor of love, nothing else. Therefore, you have a wonderful idea about jackfruit. And you know the word jackfruit. But really speaking, you don't know anything about jackfruit. So from this illustration, you can understand two things. One, the word is not the thing. Like the word jackfruit is not the thing. The idea of jackfruit, the word is outside, you know, the word is outside. Outside means somebody speaks it and you hear it. Whereas the idea is inside. That is a part of consciousness. So that idea, you can call it concept also. The concept. Generally, for silly things we call it idea. For weighty things like the laws and formula, etc., we call it concept. But otherwise, both are same. So, the idea is not the truth. Idea is not the truth. You may have all the right ideas. Suppose you study Tattvavidananda, you will get all the right ideas. I know any number of people who study Tattvavidananda, and then the topping on the ice cream or something, you add a few more to the Tattvavidananda and a few more. Some Gita Bhashyam, some this Bhashya, some that Bhashya, and finally Brahma Sutra Bhashya is the icing on the top, something like that. And the foundation is Tattvavidananda, okay? And some icing on the top. And so now Vedanta is over. And now the person is ready to teach Vedanta. Ready to teach Vedanta. He will prepare people like himself. So the idea is not to ridicule or anything. Definitely the person is much better than the common people. And in the process he might have picked up some good values also, some good ethos also he might have picked up, provided the ethos are good. Sometimes the ethos that surround the Vedanta study or Vedanta place or whatever you call it, it is a mixed bag. Some of it is very wonderful and some of it is highly objectionable. So there are issues there also. You must be the master of the situation. You cannot go by what the place presents or what the other person presents. You should decide what is the best for you. Otherwise, you end up with a mixed bag of ethos. And so some of them will uplift you and some of them will be pulling you down also. And therefore, this way we live in contradictions. And then we end up with a set of very good ideas, very lofty ideas. Nothing to do with the reality. And a lot of verbiage. Did I present the situation accurately? Therefore, that is the only redeeming feature could be, this can pave the way for the higher. You have to say like that. And thereby you have to validate it and you have to give some meaning to that. No, it is only the beginning, the higher will come later. That way you have to support it and you have to accommodate it. You have to accommodate it. You see the pitiable thing, you have to accommodate it. This way you have to accommodate it. Then I have one thing more to say about it. Even while trying to accommodate it, I have my own reservation. The reservation is, when the person is rooted in this mechanism of ideation, means he has all the right ideas with the right terminology and believes that he has studied Vedanta and ready to share the knowledge with others, etc. That knowledge which he has acquired, the so-called knowledge, becomes, it has the potential to become an obstacle to the truth. That potential it has. Once I had some physical ailment and I met a doctor, a physician. And before he could say anything, I am presenting my case before him. And I was saying quite a few things about the ailment because I knew a few things. He listened to all that. He saw the diagnostic, X-ray and whatever. And then he told me one thing, Swami, you don't mind me saying something? I said, you are welcome to say. I am all ears. Please tell me. Swamiji, you think that you know his situation. And what you know could become an obstacle to understand what is the actual situation. You think you know all the right words you have, some ideas also you have, you must have gathered from them from some newspaper or some Google guru or whatever. You seem to know the organ and its malfunction, etc. But what you know could become an obstacle to actually understand the situation. So do you mind if I say like that? I said, no, I don't mind. You tell. Only what you have understood is all nothing here. The situation is altogether different. So now you got the meaning of what I am trying to say. Therefore, the wise thing for me to do is, you know what is the wise thing for me to do is, set aside all this so-called knowledge from the head. Make the consciousness empty. When the consciousness is empty, it is alert and it is receptive. And then listen to the physician. Sir, you say now. I have put aside everything. And there was a wrong notion in me that I knew something about it. No, I did not know anything about it. I only know the pain. Other than that, I don't know anything about it. What I know has no value. Please, you come back, tell me. Your approach to Vedanta should be like that also. But that is not exactly the point I wanted to make. So this ideation is there. You have to cross the barrier of ideation and you have to transport yourself from the ideation to actuality. That is called a realization. You have to make it realize. You have to make it real for you. It is not real for you. You have to make it real for you. That is called a realization. So in the context of this verse and in the context of Vedanta, people talk of moksha. The Guru talks of moksha and the Shishyas listen to moksha for a while and then they start talking about moksha. What is moksha? What is that? So, do you have it now? No, it will come later. So you conveniently put it in the future. You know what that means? You put it in the future means, you know what it means? It means you do not have it and you do not know it. If you know it, it is now. When you don't know it, then you put it in the future. It is like by doing this ritual, you can go to heaven. By doing the ritual, where is heaven? There is no heaven. It will come. When? After the death it will come. Post-mortem, gratification. That is called heaven. Post-mortem gratification. So we convert Vedanta also into that. We will get the self-knowledge. When? You finished one round of it? Yes. Do the second round. When will I get self? The students are so dumb, they don't even ask when will we get the second Atmajnana. They don't even ask. They have nicely submitted themselves to the methodology, the so-called methodology of the process. You don't get knowledge by process, you have to know it by the first place. They have so nicely surrendered themselves to the process, they are willing all the way to be told to. They are willing. They have become insentient, literal, not in spirit. They are insentient because they are waiting to be told to. And they finish a round of this so-called methodology, and they remain same dumb samsari people, and then they are anxiously going for the second round without asking what did not happen in the first round, how come it will, is there any possibility of happening in the second round? They don't ask. So they should ask what is going on. You see, what I am trying to point out is, I have this habit of digressing. Digress and come back. It is non-linear teaching, it is, not linear teaching, okay? So you have to live with it when I am speaking. So the point is, you have to look at the whole thing and see what is going wrong. And what is moksha? That is where I started. What is moksha? Moksha, dharmartha, kama, moksha. You say, what is moksha? You know, in Vedanta, moksha is defined by Shankara. In a few places of the Bhashyas and the Upanishads, I find, unfortunately, that the systems of Vedanta, where Vedanta is taught and promoted and studied, they seem to be oblivious of this vision of moksha as it is presented by Shankara. I am saying very big thing, please excuse me for that, because the moksha, what Shankara says, is what is called sarvatma bhava. I have come to that. That is what I am building a case for. I am building a case for what is called sarvatma bhava, another name for moksha. Also, in the earlier class I mentioned that you begin with viveka bhava and then you graduate to sarvatma bhava. Viveka bhava is the sadhana paksha, that is all the sadhana that you have to do. But sarvatma bhava is the siddha paksha, that is the accomplishment. You have accomplished now the moksha. So moksha is sarvatma bhava. And that sarvatma bhava is being discussed in this verse by the Maharshi. So he gives an example. The example is, one drop of ocean we brought and put on the table in a small fire, one drop of ocean. We can say this ocean is everything that, this drop is everything that the ocean is. That is the sarvatma bhava. So this self includes all of this universe. It is the same self. There is no myself, there is no yourself. There is only one self, which is the self of all. That is sarvatma bhava. Got it? That is sarvatma bhava. So, I will describe this sarvatma bhava in some detail. So, you see, here the example, you see the way they present this example, it came from the Upanishad also. The Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka, you must have heard the Maitreyi Brahmanam, Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi Samvada. There one example is given. The example is the brine. The sea is all brine, you know. Brine means salt water. That is the sea. And the sea, a bit of it you pull out. Bring some water from the sea and leave it in the sun. You will end up in a crystal of salt, what they call Saindhavaghanaha. Now the sea appears vast, whereas the crystal appears very small. But then it appears small, it is not small. It has in it the entire sea. That is the example. Take it like that. Okay? Don't ask questions about the example. Okay? Swami, how come the sea has fish, etc.? They are not. Don't start like that. Okay? It is only an example. Example has its limitations. It applies in part. It doesn't apply all the way. If it applies all the way, then it is not an example. It is the same thing. Therefore, don't ask any such questions. Just understand the example. The salt crystal, it represents the totality of the sea, of the ocean, or the brine, sea brine. That is what it is. That is the example. The same way, the self of you, it upholds the self of all. It is the same self. The self, yourself, includes the self of all. So it appears like a principle, a very lofty principle of philosophy, not something to do with the day-to-day life. That is how it sounds. Some of these Vedanta sounds like that. It doesn't sound like the day-to-day life thing. It sounds like a very lofty principle that you will not get it now. You will get it later, in the future. Probably that is the reason why they put a huge stage for the Guru also. They put the Guru on such a big gati. And the gati is also very big and highly decorated. They put some very costly silken decorations all around it, and all kinds of colors they put. And 3-4 people can sit in that gati, but one person only sits in it. So like that they put, because what he is going to say, it is so lofty and so unreachable for us. We are not in a hurry to reach it. Just keep it there in a higher position and do namaskar and pay reverence and go home back to your samsara. That is what people do in any case. Therefore, so Sarvatma Bhava, put it on a lofty pedestal so that you can pay reverence to that from a distance. So that you remain safe. You don't want it to come to you immediately. You keep an armor around you because it won't disturb you. Because you have a samsara and a few things, If the Sarvatma Bhava comes, then all that will be disturbed. We don't want it. So keep it there. We pay our reverence, We pay reverence and we offer flowers and we can offer a dakshina also, not an issue. And there we wash off our hands. And that remains as a concept in the mind. This is, and you have the correct terminology also. This is how Vedanta is being pursued. It's a sad statement. I'm not proud to say that. I'm not happy to say that. But I say that because I'm not trying to find fault with systems. I'm trying to shake up the people, the students, to see the truth. That is what I'm trying to do. I don't have any ulterior motive in it. The only motive is to make the student see. That is the motive. And therefore, this Sarvatma Bhava is not just a principle to be observed from a distance and applauded from a distance. It is not. It is something which has to percolate into your system and which has to become an integral part of your consciousness, Sarvatma Bhava. That is called Vedanta. That is the Vedanta. Vedanta is not the process of ideation. All nice ideas are picked up. Every idea comes with a term, an idea and a term. Okay? An idea of moksha, the term moksha, M-O-K-S-H-A. Term, that is the terminology. So the acquiring terminology along with nice ideas, or ideas with nice terminology, that is not Vedanta. That is how it is practiced, unfortunately, more often than not, but that is not Vedanta. The Vedanta is a transformation in the consciousness. That is Vedanta. So I am building a case of Sarvatma Bhava. The consciousness has to undergo a transformation. You see, you have to understand what is this transformation. You see, suppose I am at home, I am living a family life. Then the entire family life can be summarized as me and my family syndrome. You can call that is a syndrome. It is called like that, okay? It is a disorder, the psychological disorder. Me and my family, which is the root of all suffering in life. Because you hedge yourself, you isolate yourself. This is the isolationism, psychological disorder. You want to isolate yourself. For example, if you come to India, here you don't see compound walls. It is one continuous grass. But in India, we have compound walls everywhere. So that means that shows our insecurity. Their land is at premium. Here land is available freely. I mean, a lot of it is available. Their land is at a very high premium. Therefore, every inch of it, every square inch of it is very precious. Therefore, we have to protect our land. Otherwise, the next neighbor, he will grab it, I tell you. He won't hesitate. He will just encroach upon it. Therefore, you have to put a compound wall. This is how we live. This is how we are trained. This is the social morality of this. This is how the society trains us. Therefore, this me and my family syndrome, we live in that. So this person who comes from that syndrome, he goes and takes to sannyas. So let us say, some fanciful thinking, sannyas. So you may ask, hey Swami, what about you? You put me also into the same track, no problem. So we are examining the issue, we are not talking of the personalities. Therefore, some fanciful thinking, or sometimes this me and my family syndrome is so painful and it becomes such a painful thing, you cannot handle it anymore and therefore go and take to sannyas. In India, it is very much possible. If you live in Hrishikesh, you will know all these things. So there will be many worthy people moving around, loitering there, because they could not fit into family life. Really. And then some of them become sannyasis. And therefore, once you become a sannyasi, now the me and my family syndrome is replaced by me and my tradition, parampara syndrome. Me and my guru syndrome. Me and my Vedanta syndrome. My Vedanta is different from the other Vedanta. Mine is Dayananda Vedanta, theirs is Chinmayananda Vedanta. And somebody else is Ramakrishna Vedanta, somebody else is Vivekananda Vedanta. They are all different. And then I must be devoted. It is a kind of fanaticism. I must be fanatically devoted to my parampara. And I should not step aside from my parampara. Now I suggest, is it any different from me and my family syndrome? Is it any different? Similarly, me and my caste in a different context. Me and my race. We have that. This is how the organizations pop up. Me and my caste. In India, you have innumerable caste organizations. If you want to see how this me and my caste operates, I advise you to visit a place called Srishailam in Telangana. Lord Shiva's place, a place of pilgrimage. The moment you get down in bus stand, suppose, and you start walking on the main road, Kshatriya Kalyana Mandapam, only Kshatriyas are allowed. Next, Brahmana Satram, only Brahmanas are allowed. And then Vaishya Satram, quite big. Merchant people, they have a lot of money to spend and therefore it is quite a Brahmana thing is a bit dull. The Kshatriya and the Vaishya thing is more majestic, and so, but only Vaishyas are allowed. It doesn't stop there. Kapu Sangham, Only Kapu caste people are allowed. Kapu corresponds to some kind of a Shudra caste. And then the Sitti Balija Sangham, another Shudra caste. You will have all of them. Big, big boards. We don't have any qualms in declaring our caste. We declare with a lot of, very proudly declare, like that caste. And they grow up and then they find in their name the caste appellation is not there. Then they start suddenly adding the caste appellation. A person's name was Subbanna, but Subbanna doesn't mean anything. It could be Brahmana, it could be any caste. Therefore he will put Subba D. And then Krishna Madiga, but caste appellation. So me and my caste. In which way it is different? You are hedging yourself psychologically. Then comes, I am saying the negative thing, then I will come to the positive thing. That Sarvatma Bhava will be complete. Then, me and my religion. Another thing. The religion, what is the religion? Not the true religion. True religion is Sarvatma Bhava. There is no myself and there is no yourself. There is only one self, the self of all. That is the true religion. But we are not talking of true religion. We are talking of the religion practiced by the masses. Unfortunately, quite a lot of the religion practiced by these Vedantins is not the true religion. It is the religion of the masses. That is what they practice. Why should they practice the religion of the masses? Probably because if you practice the true religion, you will be alone or another 2-3 people will be around you. But if you practice the religion of the masses, you will have 100 people or 1,000 people around you saying Jindabad, Jindabad. That also you can have if you wish. Probably that is the reason why we practice, we would love to practice the religion of the masses, because we want masses to come around us. What a travesty of truth. So, I am describing this hedge mentality, this isolationism. We had our permission to do that. I am doing in a very forthright way, I suppose. Me and my religion. You see, do you know this? The religious identity. You mean to say, when the humanity was born, it was born with caste identity? You mean to say like that? No, right? The humanity came into existence on the globe, and in due course of time, our eons passed, the millennia passed, the caste identity started. For example, in Ramayana, you don't have caste identity. In Mahabharata, you have the caste identity. Ramayana doesn't have it the way you find it in Mahabharata, because in Mahabharata it is already taking roots and there are contradictions. Caste identity based on birth, etc. All those things are happening. So in Ramayana you don't find it. Therefore, the caste identity came in due course of time, and the academic researchers can also pinpoint the period in which the caste identity started appearing and then it took shape, etc. They can tell you. For example, I am telling you Mahabharata is the period when it took. Similarly, the religious identity, it was not there at one time. When Gita was taught, there were no religions. There were no religions. Gita doesn't talk of any religious identity. There is no religion. Religious identity came to India along with the advent of Muslim invasions, maybe 7th century. In fact, there is academic research which suggests that there was no religious identity in India before 6th century AD. People were not saying we are this religion, that religion, they are not. It is something like, unless there is a sense of separation, you don't get that identification. Therefore, a thing which started in 6th century or 7th century AD You want to bring it and put it into the Upanishadic vision which is timeless. You want to do that. Why should you do that? You should not. Therefore, Upanishadic vision, the moksha, the sarvatma bhava, is something beyond the religious identity. You have to go beyond the religious identity. You should not hold on to this me and my religion syndrome. You have to go beyond it. Because you have to arrive at sarvatma bhava. Okay? So, therefore, now the description which I have given, it is all said to make one point. Namely, there must be an inner transformation. That is Vedanta. Vedanta is not acquiring some nice concepts in the head. That is not Vedanta. Vedanta is the consciousness undergoes a transformation. I don't want even to call it a change, it's a transformation. In fact, I would like to say even better, it is a transmutation. The consciousness. For example, maybe I was saying me and my family, and now then I have grown out of it and started saying me and my caste, that is the community leader. And then grow beyond that and start saying me and my religion, the religious leaders. And grow beyond that and say me and my nation, the national leaders. And go beyond that, we are all human beings. You should not even stop there. You have to go beyond that. We are all living beings. You have to go beyond that. We are all the same being. All existence is one. And I am that one in all existence. The existence absolute. That is what I am. That is the sarvatma bhava. And you have to arrive at it. Means in your consciousness, there is no division of any kind. This is what is called fragmentary thinking. There is no fragmentary thinking of any kind. And no fragmentary thinking. Suppose I ask you, who are you? I am Brahmana. I am a Brahmin. Okay, you are a Brahmin. But we are in India. There are other castes also, but there is a larger Hindu society which includes Brahmana and all other castes also. So, why don't you say I am a Hindu? Instead of saying I am a Brahmana, why don't you say I am a Hindu? It is not about saying, that inner transformation. Why don't you get into that? You can. You can. You should. In fact, I ask you, to change the consciousness from I am a Brahmin idea or state, that is a state of consciousness, from I am the Brahmin state to I am a Hindu state. The consciousness has to undergo a transformation. How much effort it takes and how much time it takes. It is not a process. It's not a process. It's not a methodology. You do it now, or you don't do it. That's all. I look back. When did I think Aham Brahmana? I'm not sure. Maybe something in that consciousness. It was put there, it was put there. The family puts, the society puts there, you are a Brahmin. And therefore I start taking myself Aham Brahmana. So when was I put into this head, into this consciousness? Maybe at the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, it was put into this consciousness. How long did it linger in this consciousness? When I look back, I'm not sure. I think maybe up to the age of 13, 14 it lingered. And it is gone. I'm a Hindu. That is the transformation. I find it is not that easy either, because there are many who are caught in it. Aham Brahmanaha, Aham Kshatriyaha, Aham Vaishyaha. They don't want to move away from it. They hold on to it. The biggest contradiction is they study Vedanta all the way and they teach Vedanta and still hold on to that. Is that a contradiction or not? And then we talk of a process all the time and a methodology to know that I am not, you say, I am saying, instead of saying Aham Brahmana, I am saying I am a Hindu. When I say I am a Hindu, that includes Brahmana, that doesn't eliminate Brahmana. We are not talking of an eliminating process, we are talking of an inclusive vision. We are not eliminating, we are including. Therefore, I want to include, I want to be inclusive. I don't want to be hitched out, I want to be inclusive. Therefore, sometime that Aham Brahmana idea or consciousness, state of consciousness was replaced by I am a Hindu. It is not a process. If you make it a process, you will never. What is the process in it? Please think about it. Then I am a Hindu. Then a Mahatma told, Swami Akhandananda Maharaj told, Arapa, we are a Hindu, I appreciate it, but there are Christians and Muslims also. There are Parsis in India. We are all in the same country, we are living together. Why don't you say, I am an Indian? Now, that is not easy, I tell you. It depends upon the kind of conditioning you have. If I say this on a different platform, there will be a big ruckus. Hey, come on, what are you talking? No, it is not possible. We have to accept our identity. You are following what I am saying? So that is the state of consciousness. But Akhandananda Maharaj asked, from the state of consciousness in which you are certain, or you assert that I am a Hindu, from that to change, to transform into a consciousness, I am Bharatiya. If you don't like Indian, you can say Bharatiya. I am an Indian. To change the consciousness, what process you require? You don't require a process. You see the falsity of exclusion and you see the meaning of inclusiveness. That is the Sarvatma Bhava, that is moksha. Because the moment, this is how fragmentary thinking works, the moment you say Aham Brahmanaha, the Upanishad, you have divided the humanity into Brahmin and non-Brahmin. And being a Brahmin, the entire non-Brahmin humanity stands there against you. That is called fragmentary thinking. They may not attack you right away, but psychologically, they are all standing against you, right? You have divided. The division is there. That is the fragmentary thinking. That makes you insecure. You are not secure anymore. That's why when I am sure that I accept that I am Brahmana, when I find that the company of other Brahmanas, I am comfortable. But you drop me among the company of Sudras, I will be acutely uncomfortable. Don't you see that? Therefore, it is not a process. To call the false as false is not a process. It is the seeing of the false as false. It is seeing, not a process. Seeing is not a process. You see it. That's why the rishis are called seers. So you see it. No, I'm in India. Not just one religion, I'm in India. But then I have understood, I'm not just an Indian, I'm a human being. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is what the rishis said. The entire humanity is my family. You should be able to say that. Shri Narendra Modi ji said the other day, he looks around and says, these 55,000 people are my family. That is Sarvatma Bhava. That is a step in that direction. A giant leap. That is the quantum leap. And this leap, you see, even in physics or chemistry, there is a nucleus and an electron. And you give energy, light, the electron jumps from this lower orbit to the higher orbit. It is called quantum leap. It doesn't stand in between. It doesn't follow a process. It doesn't follow a path. It just jumps. That is called quantum leap. So there are only quantum leaps in Vedanta. There are no processes, there are no methodologies. But there is a vested in quantum leap. Suppose you get the quantum leap, then you realize your truth. Then you are not, you do not fit into the systems and other things that we build around ourselves. Very unfortunate thing to say. Therefore, there are only quantum leaps, and therefore there are no processes. Knowledge is like that. Therefore, from Indian to human being, I was walking on a country road, and suddenly I found cows behind in the meadow. They are animals. I am a human being. But then it occurred to me, they are looking at me. All of them were curiously looking at me, as much as I was looking at them. No, they are not animals. I am human, they are animals. No, that is wrong. They are conscious beings, and I am also a conscious being. I am curious about them, and they are curious equally about me. We are conscious beings. There may be difference in the levels of consciousness. That is like a 0 candle bulb and 100 candle bulb. What is inside is essentially the same. The levels of light or the levels of glow vary. Similarly, they are conscious beings, I am a conscious being. That is what I felt. The division is gone. They are included. Then there is a mountain peak standing before me, and here I am. I am a living being, whereas it is inanimate. Therefore there is difference. No, there is no difference. Really speaking, yesterday I was saying, it is not mountain, it is mountain consciousness. Mountain consciousness is given the name mountain. It doesn't say I am the mountain. Who says it is the mountain? You say it is the mountain. Why you say it is the mountain? Because you are conscious of it as mountain. That's why you say. Therefore, what is there is not mountain. What is there is mountain consciousness. Therefore, you see, you have to regard all creation as so many manifestations of Chaitanya. All creation is Chaitanya. Like a mountain peak is a consciousness it is. It is mountain consciousness. The river is river consciousness, Devata. That's why river is a Devata, mountain is a Devata. Everything, even a dust particle is also consciousness. Even an atom, atoms and molecules, they are consciousness. Everything is consciousness. There is nothing which is not consciousness. Therefore, I am the being. The mountain is also the being. The tree is the being. Everything is a being. The same being which I am. That is how you arrive at Sarvatma Bhava. I am the existence which is the existence of all. A poet said, I flame in fire. I flame in fire. I am the fire. I shine in the sun and the moon, in the planets and the stars. I blow with the winds. I roll with the waves. I am the man and I am the woman. I am the youth and I am the maid. I am the babe newborn. And I am the withered ancient, means the old man. I am the withered ancient, propped upon his staff. I am whatever is. The black bee and the tiger and the fish, the green birds with red eyes, the tree, the grass, the cloud that hath lightning in its womb, the seasons and the seas, in me they are. In me they begin, and in me they end. Yesterday I have explained to you, a rose, it doesn't begin it with the plant and end with the plant. It begins in my consciousness and ends in my consciousness. Like I turn my attention away from the rose, then there is no rose anymore. What is, but rose is no more. But when I say rose, then the rose is. Therefore, everything begins in me and everything ends in me. You see, you look at the world in which you live, you examine it. You see, somebody tells you that you are born into this world and you will move away from this world. That is what somebody tells you in the name of religion. And the society tells you are born into this society, into this family. That is what family tells. So we all want to believe that we are born into this world and then we will leave this world one day. We will die. That is what we believe. And then we build systems, social systems and religious systems around that belief. So I am born, therefore some rituals, some celebrations, this and that, without understanding whether I was born really or not. So this is how we live. And unfortunately we give the name of Vedanta also to it. This is the worst possible contradiction, I tell you. In Vedanta there is no birth, ajaha. Vedanta begins with ajaha, ends with ajaha. Ajo nityaha, shashvatoyam puranaha, nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Therefore, I tell you, the Mahatma used to say, as long as you believe that you are born into the world, and you will leave the world behind and go elsewhere, so long you will not know yourself correctly. When you understand that when you wake up in your consciousness, the world springs into existence. That is what the world is. One person went to Ramana Maharshi and said, Mahatma Ji, today my birthday. Please bless me. You go to Maharshi and say, today is my birthday, but how people are people? So he is approachable, you know. So today is your birthday. How today is your birthday? You seem to be a grown-up person. How come it is your birthday? You seem to be very much grown-up. No, today is my birthday. Okay, it is your birthday. You repeat the same thing again and again, year after year, therefore it is your birthday. Understood. But why should you be blessed on a birthday? Why? What is so special about it? Only birthday you should be blessed, not other days. What is the specialty of today? Something. I don't know what it is. It is certainly not Vedanta, only this much I know. Okay? So then Maharshi told her, yes, you were born today morning. That is what he said. This man was flabbergasted. How come I was born today morning, he says. Yeah, today morning only you were born. When? I was born so many years back. No, you were born today morning. When you woke up and then you become conscious of the body, then the body springs into existence and then you identify with it. That is when you were born. That is what the Maharshi said. This man, he did not understand whatever. And therefore he thought what Maharshi said we cannot understand, we will understand it later. There is a methodology to understand. Therefore, the point I was trying to make is, you did not come into this world. Nor we will go out of this world at the time of death, because you are not going to die. You are immortal. You should know that. If you are not immortal, if you are mortal, what are you doing here in a Vedanta class? You are wasting your time. Go and make some money and do something about it. If you are going to die, if you are born and you are going to die, why you waste your time in a Vedanta class? It is not for you. It is for those who are immortals. Amrutasya putraha. You are the offspring of immortality. Come and know it. You see, Vedanta has become a fashion. I tell you, it has lost its pristine glory. It seems like that. Anyway, therefore, when you understand that the world, it comes into existence in my consciousness. When you wake up, you are aware. You are awake. Awake or aware. And then you are aware of the body. And the body here and now. You are aware of space. You are aware of time. You are aware of the world that stands opposite the body. And then you are aware of the family, home, this, that. Everything comes into your awareness. That is how it becomes meaningful. And therefore, it is upheld by your awareness. It is cradled, what you call world, is cradled in your consciousness. And when you want to go into a state of unconscious sleep, the world ceases to exist. It vanishes. This is what is called Nitya Srishti, Nitya Pranayam. Everyday Srishti, everyday Pranayam. And you are the author of this Srishti. You understand that, you contemplate upon it. You contemplate upon it. That is the meditation. The meditation is, here I am. I am just now waking up. And now this world, this family, this society, this world, all of it comes into light in my consciousness. And I am going to uphold it. And finally, I devour it. When I go into sleep, I devour the entire universe into myself. And I go to sleep. You contemplate like that. Then, if you contemplate like that, there is a transformation in you. What all appears, what all shines in my light of awareness, and I am all. I am all that appears in the consciousness. I am all. Like the entire dream world, I am. Exactly the same way, entire waking world, I am. Till now I have described the theory. Of course, when I read the poem of Ramatirtha, that included the real life situation also. But then there is a thing called practice, theory and practice. Till now I talked about theory. Now I am saying something about practice. So you have to acquire that state in which you realize that the entire universe, it springs into light when you become aware. Therefore, the universe is cradled in your consciousness. The beasts, the birds, the mountains, the trees, they are all coming to light in your own consciousness. That is, they are all your own self. Everything is your own self. So, the rivers, etc., are like the blood coursing through my veins. They are all myself. And the sun and moon are like my eyes. Suryo me chikshushishritaha. The temple. In the temple they say the right things occasionally. Suryo me chikshushishritaha. Sometimes, in some places they say mostly right things. Some silly things also they say. In some places they say right things now and then. The rest of it is all some blabbering, some mumbling they do. Tabla and harmonium go on mumbling. God knows what is going on. He doesn't know what is going on. Only God knows what is going on. So all such things is unnecessary. There is no value in it. They become a distraction, and they pile up and cover up the real. Really. Therefore, anyway, therefore, the sun and moon are my eyes. The wind, what is the difference between the wind outside and wind inside? What is the difference? There is no difference. When I inhale, I partake of the universal wind. And when I exhale, I throw out into the universal wind. This is how the universal wind and the wind in this body is one and the same. The waters of the universe and the waters of this body are one and the same. The Prithvi of the universe and the Prithvi here is one and the same. The entire universe is cradled in my consciousness and hence not different from myself. Therefore, this is how you have, this is the vision. And here Ramatirtha says, this is the aim of true religion. We are interested in true religion, not some kind of a priestcraft in the name of religion. And a lot of superstitions in the name of religion. If you pursue superstitions, that is the most unfortunate thing. You should be fully rational, not superstitious. So sometimes you may not know the entire mission behind it. It's all right, that is fine. But what you are practicing must not be a superstition. You know? That is a blind belief. It is the most unfortunate thing. Therefore, so this is the vision. How to arrive at this vision of Sarvatma Bhava? That's a transformation. You should not convert it into a practice or into a process. It is not a process. You see, to see the false as false is not a process. Rajju Sarpa. Oh, I have mistaken. It is not a serpent. It is the rope. That is not a process. You put the light on and you see it. See the false as false. And so what happens is, if you make it into a process, then you miss it. You see, in our younger days, parents say, arrest, study, exams are approaching, study hard. Then we say, okay, we will study hard. So what we will do, we will drink tea at 9:30, prepare tea at 9:30. Or there is a small hotel, a hut villas in the distance, and go there and drink tea and come back. And a combined study, 2-3 people together. And then night 1 o'clock you sleep, okay. What they have studied is nothing. We have not studied anything. We have created a system and a structure around study and did not study anything. Once my mother told me, I am noticing it, you are doing a big deal of study, but the amount of study that you do, I find is very little. The best thing will be sleep by 9:30 or 10, you sleep. I will wake you up at 4:35 and you study for 1 hour. At least 1 hour you will be studying. Now you keep awake till 1 o'clock and you study, don't even study 10 minutes. Our Vedanta has become like that. We are so busy constructing things and adding newer and newer paraphernalia, all for Vedanta. Real Vedanta, you have to search for it. You don't find it all. Sometimes you find a little of it, and sometimes you don't even find it at all. What a misfortune. So, therefore, you have to bring about that inner transformation. That is Vedanta. Inner transformation. So, you have to purify your heart by driving away malice, jealousy. You see, when you see some nice, healthy people, you should feel happy. God bless them. I may not have the same health, but God bless them. And you see people with good resources, you should be happy. God bless them. Because they are all myself. You see, somebody got an award. Oh, I am very happy. Hey, why are you happy when he got an award? In him, I got the award. This is my award, not his. There is no his separate from me. It is my award. And it is my wealth. If they are enjoying it, it is myself enjoying through them. They are all myself. There is nobody other than myself. Therefore, even if you think like that, even if you meditate like that, that is meditation. Meditation is not like sitting upright and imagining things. Oh, now my father is in New Delhi, I pay my respects to him. My son is in Toronto, and I leave him alone, I won't bother him. Is that meditation? That is not meditation. That is called daydreaming. That is not meditation. Meditation is you sit upright, you try it. And when you find time, you try it. You sit upright and say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am all existence, myself. There is no friend, there is no foe, there is only divinity. And the divinity is myself. You say that and see what happens. I tell you, it comes alive in you. That is meditation. Not my brother, and I will stop interfering with my brother. You need meditation for that? You should have done it long back. Silly. So, who told you you have no brother? There is no brother, there is no sister. We come alone and we leave alone. This brother, sister, father, mother, and wife or children, it is a pipe dream. Entire humanity is myself. You want to say entire humanity is my brother? Okay, good enough. You see, I have come across a printer. The name of the printer is Brother. I was So I was amused. Oh, this is something very good. Nobody said that kind of a name could be put to your printer. Brother. Anyway. Therefore, no jealousy. You drive away jealousy. No hatred. No hatred. The other person may hate you. But you see, I tell you, the other person is bringing up dust with his feet. Stamping the feet and bringing up dust. Now what you should do? You bring up some more dust. No. You sprinkle some water so that you can see clearly. Whereas if you bring up some more dust, both of you become blind. That is how people live. Therefore, the other person may hate, but I do not hate. There is no hatred. There is no rivalry. No rivalry. I go my way. I walk alone. I do not compete with anybody else, and I do not look at anybody as a competition. Nobody is a competition. I am what I am. I include all. And then practice to love all as your own self. Just do that. Love all as your own self. And then forgive those whom you consider your enemies. So, there is a statement, I think coming from Bible, I forgive those who trespass their trespasses so that God will forgive me my trespasses. Something to that effect. Therefore, forgive the enemies, the opponents, and the fault finders will be there. Forgive them also. And you encourage them. When they find fault with you, you pat on the back, bless him or her, and encourage them. You are doing this good job, please do it much better, like that. He is finding fault, it is not important. If the fault is real, then you have to correct it. If it is not real, then why should you bother? He is just saying something which doesn't exist. And so it is more his problem than my problem, like that. Therefore, and then you do this much. No fault finders, no adversaries. You forgive all of them. No jealousy, no hatred, no adversary. And no competition. You do not compete. No. Competition is not in Vedanta. Competition is in business, not Vedanta. No competition. And love all as your own self. By doing that, you arrive at that lofty state of self-realization in which you feel all as yourself, all as one, and that one in all in one, and that is the self. That is Aham Brahmasmi. That is the name given, Aham Brahmasmi. Therefore, you start with a hedged mentality, then you increase that circle that encloses you. You increase the circle, increase, and you come to a point where you include everything as your own self and declare Aham Brahmasmi. Even for 30 seconds, you sit upright and close the eyes and feel all existence as myself. I feel the divinity within me. The divinity within me. I feel I am all existence. I am all. I am the self of all. You feel that much, it feels real. It feels real. You know why? Because that is the truth. And you have to arrive at it. And you feel it now. And anything and everything which opposes this vision, this inclusive vision, all-inclusive vision, this sense of the self which includes all, anything and everything that opposes it, you have to put aside. Suppose some caste society is there, you are not part of it. Once I was invited to a Brahmana Sabha. I said I will come, but if you make too much emphasis on the Brahmanhood, this and that, I may not fit into it. Then they stopped inviting me because they understood that I do not fit into it. The reason is, I don't want to say I represent Brahmana. I don't want to say that. Similarly, caste, creed, race, religion, you do not identify with any of these things. You rise above them. If others identify, that is their problem. You don't go and fight with them. They are all Atmas. They will understand. There is no other. There is no other. I include all. Therefore, that is the vision. And any step that you take, any thought or any speech or any action that contradicts that vision, that opposes that all-inclusiveness, that Brahmanhood, anything that opposes it, you should perseveringly dismiss it. You should not allow it to come anywhere near. You should dismiss it. I am a Swami from Telugu. No, I am not a Telugu Swami. I am a Swami. No Telugu thing. Telugu ho, Gujarati ho, Hindi ho, kuch bhi ho. You rise above this kind of parochial thinking. Anything. I start the Telugu association, then what kind of a Swami I am? Somebody else starts, let him, but not me. Therefore, I gave an example. There are so many such examples everywhere. We have to rise above them. And there must be a tremendous inner transformation as described by me in the last 1 hour 20 minutes. And by doing that, you arrive at that Sarvatma Bhava. And then you can say with Ashtavakra Maharshi as, you may say, Yathaive Kshurase Klupta Tena Vyaptaiva Shakkara Tatha Vishwam Mayi Kluptam Maya Vyaptam Nirantaram. That it is Sarvatma Bhava wells. Then the topic is changing. There is a small change in the tack. The Jagat. What is this Jagat? This overwhelming Jagat. It seems to be so real. What is it? That is the topic for the coming 2-3 verses. We'll continue in the afternoon.